Last time out on the Motorsport News Circuit Rally Championship, two-time British Rally champion Matt Edwards made a guest appearance but didn't quite have the speed to match young hotshot Frank Baird. Neither would last a distance, however, and it was Steve Simpson and Patrick Walsh that took the victory, with Barry Morris victorious in D1 and Joshua and Tamsin Davey dominating Class C. It made it 2 class wins for the Darians, who will take the win this time.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to round 2 of the Motorsport News Circuit Rally Championship. You're joining us here at Cadwell Park for the NHMC Cadwell Park stages. As you can see, it's a little bit on the damp side today, so tyre choice is going to be everything. We have some fab entries today, 93 cars in total. A lot of last season's competitors are joining us, and we are so excited to welcome some new faces to the championship also. I'm currently heading up the championship, so let's see who's going to knock me off that top spot. Paul, over to you.
Thanks, Sam. In Class A, we welcome back last season's champions, Dale and Andrew Lawson. They'll battle against rivals Adam and Ray Ripper, the quick Ron Walker and Amy McCubbin, and Kay Thompson and Charlotte Wainwright, amongst others. In Class B, Chris Ruck and Steve Harris will aim high to make it 2 wins from 2 for their Opel Corsa, but they'll be pushed hard by Cirrus-sponsored Ashley Morris and Jamie McTavish, as well as Ken Sturdy and Andrew Funnell in their Suzuki Swift Maxi. Joshua and Tamsin Davey were on form at Oulton Park, and when the Darien T90's on song, it's virtually unbeatable in Class C. But reliability can be an issue. Waiting in the wings will be a trio of escorts in the hands of Gary Mason, Rob Cox and Mike English if problems arise. Expect a tight battle between Stephen and Jack Tilburn and Mike Taylor and Martin Haggett in Class D1, while Barry and Seamus Morris, their Darians, are looking very quick. All 4, plus Paul Morrow and Callum Cross, also contest the Michelin Cup, so there's plenty on offer. Subaru Imprezas dominate the Class D2 entry list, with a pair of Mitsubishis challenging them. Whether the power stages at Cadwell Park will suit these beasts is another question, but look out for Lee and Abigail Allen in particular in their Evo 3. With R5s and WRC cars absent, there's a good chance of gaining championship advantages as well. Stages 1 and 2 comprise 2.5 laps heading off the circuit into and underneath the cafe before dropping back onto the track. Chicanes break up some of the fast blast around the circuit, whilst wet conditions will make things tricky for those who push too hard. Starting the day bang on 9 o'clock was Ian Woodhouse driving alongside Paul Rowland in their revamped Ford Escort. They would finish stage 1 second fastest overall and looked really quick out there. Quickest after the opening stage were Joshua and Tamsin Davey, who we ride on board with. Let's watch and listen as they wrestle their Darien T90 around the slippy stages. Leading Class D2 in the early going were Lee and Abigail Allen in their Mitsubishi Evo 3, 6th fastest overall. After a Class B win at Oulton Park, Chris Ruck and Steve Harris started the day well here at Cadwell Park with a nice 10-second lead after the opening stage. Rounding off the class leaders, Matt Wood and Peter Kettle were quickest in Class A in their Vauxhall Corsa, though they were just 2 seconds ahead of Dale and Andrew Lawson, so they couldn't relax. Moving on to the rest of the competitors in Class D2, Adam Williams and Rachel Atherton were 10th overall and keeping the pressure up on the Allens for class lead. A little further back, Neil Beaumont and Dylan Thomas were 3rd in their Subaru Impreza. They too couldn't relax, as they were just 3 seconds ahead of Philip Megginson and Paul Turner, also winning an Impreza, being hounded here by a Class C Ford Puma. Another Impreza, this one belonging to Jonathan Lightbody and Tom Homan, were 5th, while Michael Stanley and Adam Smalley were 7th, albeit 4th, of the full season championship entrants. Sometimes it pays to take the long game and score points rather than go for glory on the day. Dean Hockling and Jeff Moss were next up, you guessed it, in an Impreza. Popular, that car, isn't it? Daniel James Elmore and Ian Duncan competed in their lovely MG Metro 6R4. Head to the championship Facebook with an interesting interview with those two. This car won the rally here back in the 80s. In Class D1, Mike Taylor and Martin Haggett were keeping up the pressure on Ian Woodhouse, almost on the door handles, and looking for a good finish to build on from 4th place at Alton Park. Regular championship contestants, they're always up at the sharp end. Stephen and Jack Tilburn were up next, so let's go on board with the boys. Smart, steady driving in their Ford Escort during the early running here, keeping a bit back for later on if needed. Barry Morris and Tom Hutchins started with a solid Darien T90 GTR Plus, but quickly put a dent in it, as you can see here. Skittles. The Opel Kadett of Alan McDowell and James Robson was 5th in class, with Michael Walton and Jamie Vaughan close behind, 4th of the championship entrants with their very yellow Ford Escort. Dan Corner and Mark Regan were next fastest, running with reigning champion Chris West's help and one of his ex-factory engines powering them along for good measure too. Paul Munro and Callum Cross took a more agricultural approach to stage 1. Paul kept his foot in though. Nice control on that wet grass, son. Oh my word, yes. The two Phillips, Rowland and Woodcock, were next in a BMW 323, just about holding on to that rear-wheel drive power. The third Darien entered in the rally, this one of Seamus Morris, and Dan Blood was 6th of the championship entrants, equal on time with Mike Bayliss and Sam Bailey in their new-look BMW Compact M3. Another BMW, a 328, was 12th in class, this one in the hands of Gareth Stanley and Kenneth Barber, ahead of Ryan Graham and Rob McHenry's Impreza. The Z3 of Gary Carver and Claire Law was next up, and an E36 Coupe for Jeremy Griffiths and Clive Hitchman, another BMW in this batch. 8th of the championship entrants were Aaron and Dean Goslin in their Ford Fiesta. Unfortunately, Alistair Stables and Neil Jones would only compete one stage in their Vauxhall Chevette HSR before retiring from the event. The tricky conditions caught a few competitors out, as we can see on board with Paul Gorge and Daniel Hurst here. Just as they pulled away, Blair and Shannon Thompson decided to also get in on the act. Simon Lana and Tony Clemens also had a spin in their Fiesta, whilst there was a slightly alarming moment for David Wilson and Robert J. Clark. Luckily, they were okay, but their Citroen wasn't. Let's join Sam for an update.
You're joining us now at the end of Stage 2. Just to give you all an update, Stage 2 has unfortunately been cancelled. Barry Morris and Tom Hutchins have an accident. The crew is completely okay and the car has driven out of stage.
As you can see from this onboard with the Tilbers, the Darien was left in a precarious position. Thankfully everybody was okay, but the recovery took some time, so the stage had to be cancelled. So Sam caught up with the competitors.
So we're joined here by Ian Woodhouse today. Ian, it is fantastic to have you back joining us. I know you're not registered for the championship, but it is so good to have you back here at Cadwell Park.
Oh yes, it's always brilliant to come back in this little championship. It's full of excitement. The coverage what you get for TV wise and that. It's brilliant little championship. So yeah, it's good to be back. Good.
And you've obviously won this championship in the past. You've got a different co-driver in with you today. How is it feeling being back in the car?
Yeah, it's feeling fine. Obviously, we haven't done much over the last 18 months of rebuilding it, but we were out at Donington a couple of weeks ago and we won that. So hopefully we'll try and push on that Joshua Davies and his Darien. We'll try and push him on, so keep a good battle out with the top there, yeah.
Hey guys, we're joined here by Rob Cox. Rob, you couldn't get to Alton Park, couldn't you? But you've signed up for the championship again. Just talk us through some of the issues that you had pre-season.
Pre-season, I think it's well known. I've had a load of gearbox issues, costing some good results, costing some decent stage times. But we've put a new box in now, new setup here and now on the drivetrain. So hopefully, touch some wood, we'll move forward and get some times in today. Just a bit of, building the confidence in the car, in the seat, bit of seat time, and yeah, happy days.
Great stuff, Sam. With everyone being given their Stage 1 time for the cancelled Stage 2, here's how things stood. Matt Wood and Peter Kettle remain top of Class A, but with just a 2-second lead over Dale and Andrew Lawson. Just 2 seconds also separate 3rd, 4th and 5th positions. In Class B, Chris Rook and Steve Harris were once again the team to beat, but they weren't a long way ahead of the chasing pack. Ashley Morris and Jamie McTavish were having a good run in 2nd place as well. Joshua and Tamsin Davey top Class C by a large margin, but they were just 6 seconds covering 2nd to 8th, demonstrating just how closely fought the class is. Ian Woodhouse and Paul Rowland were top of Class D1, but Mike Taylor and Martin Haggart will be happy with 2nd, scoring maximum championship points over the Tilburns if they could keep up that to the end of the day. Lee and Abigail Allen had the class lead in D2, with Adam Williams and Rachel Atherton hot on their heels. There was also a tight battle from 3rd to 7th, which could swing either way as the day went on. In the overall rally standings, the Davies had the lead over Woodhouse and Rowland, as Class D1 competitors dominated the top 8 positions. Ensuring the safety of its competitors is paramount to the championship. Here's Sam with the latest developments.
Refueling is such a huge topic in rallying at the moment. It is a very, very dangerous area of our sport. A lot of events now are having a specific refuel area. We've had countless incidents over the years with accidents when it comes to refueling. So this year for the championship, we've introduced a new regulation where we'll be using hand pumps only. It's a much, much safer and easier way of refueling. So we're joined with Peter from Vital Equipment. Peter, just run through with me, please. Why are we doing this? Why is this so important now?
Well, since we started using refuel areas, originally we were using funnels, people were using funnels, some were using pumps, and by observing it and watching it, we could see that the funnels wasn't a good idea at all. It was a big health and safety risk, especially in windy days. The fuel was getting blown, or it was getting splashed about all over. It was the lifting as well. I mean, you were having to lift it over a height and try and get rid of it. So this year, through the Motorsport News Championship, we've insisted that all fuel is put in with a hand pump. We must use a hand pump to refuel the cars. The Motorsport News Championship is the only one that insists that hand pumps are used. I have been at events recently where they're still using the funnels, and obviously I'm trying to push them to go into hand pumps as well. And it's working. It works here really well, and we can see a big difference.
This new way of thinking is definitely increasing the health and safety for refueling, so hopefully across the board in motorsport it will be looked at and other championships will adopt the same approach.
Thanks, Sam. It's great to see so many improvements being made every year to reduce the risks involved in our sport. Looking at the stage plan for stages 3 and 4, the cars will head down through the Hall Bends before negotiating the chicane in front of the cafe. They will then head out to Mansfield and turn left, taking an access road and rejoining the track halfway down the Park Straight. They'll then loop back to the start, and on the 3rd lap they'll turn right and take the finish after Chris Curve. Ian Woodhouse and Paul Rowland lead the rally overall and in Class D1 after 2 stages. They're showing no signs of slowing down either. Lee and Abigail Allen top the running in the D2 class in their Mitsubishi. The chasing pack of Subarus don't quite seem to have the speed, but there's plenty to go yet. In Class B, Chris Rook and Steve Harris are hustling their Opel Corsa, and they lead the class by 8 seconds. That body kit makes it look mean. Matt Wood and Peter Kettle continue to plug away in their Class A Vauxhall Corsa. They've also an 8-second lead, this time over Dale and Andrew Lawson. For this stage, we follow the progress of Class C runners, and we go on board with Joshua and Tamsin Davey in their Darien. They've driven brilliantly so far this season, showing well at Alton Park last time out and being right up the order here at Cadwell too. The turquoise terror of Mike English and Andy Robinson always seem like it's possessed by an angry beast. They'd finished the stage second in class, 45 seconds behind the Darien. Going on board with third place class runners Rob Cox and Joe Graham, now in their Ford Escort Mark II RS, and they aren't lacking any commitment either. One of our camera cars is the Seat Ibiza, driven by Stuart Popplewell and Nigel Barber. They've had a good run to this point. In fourth place, less than 10 seconds off Rob Cox, a place they'll hold on to until the end of the rally. Nice one, lads! Looking to make amends for their early retirement at Alton Park, it's Kathy Seward and Colin Stevens, and they were going well in their Lotus Talbot Sunbeam. They'd moved further up the order to finish the day third place in class for a welcome podium return. The yellow Peugeot 205 of Ashley Davis and Sam Fordham looked brilliant out on stage and wasn't hanging around. They'd finish in sixth place, going one better to finish fifth at the end of the day. Continuing the yellow theme, Jake Alexander and Barry Briggs were going well in their Ford Escort Mark II. They'd finished the day 10th in class, 1 minute 34 off the lead and showing some flair along the way. And talking of flair, let's talk about ginger hair. Last season's Class C winners Ryan Connolly and Chris Allen are back in their Ford Puma. Having given it a ground-up rebuild for their first run of the season, they'd finished the day in 8th place. Gary Mason and John Matthews led a gaggle of Ford Escort Mark IIs. The pair would give it their all to finish 6th after 8 stages. Tim and Morgan Gray, red example, looks the business as they thread their way through some of the straw bales. They'd finished the stage 10th in class but dropped 1 place by the time the clock stopped on the last stage of the day. In an almost identical livery, it's the Ford Mark II Escort RS of Andy Graham and Sean Bailey. They'd finished the stage in 11th place, but move up the order to finish 9th at the end. The Vauxhall Nova of Joe and Peter Chapman is next up. They'd have a good afternoon, moving up 4 places to finish 8th. The Renault Williams Clio of William Clark and Stephanie Hemming was looking racy out there on stage 3, clearly with the speed through the corners. They'd finished the stage 12th and 11th in class by the close of stage 8. Ian Phillips, Skip and Russell Joseph had a solid finish at Alton Park last time out in their Vauxhall Astra GSI. They'd be in the midfield scrap all day and finish the rally in 15th in class. Championship entrants Blair and Shannon Thompson were another pair that had a solid start to their new season campaign. They'd keep the noses clean here as well, and they'd finish 16th in class. I think this Peugeot 306 Maxi F2 kit kart looks amazing. Ryan Enion and Daniel Davis pedaling it well on stage, and they'd fall back down the order, finishing over 3 minutes off the lead. Here we go, boys. Steve Dolman and Paul Sheard are out in my Mazda MX-5 from Alton Park. They'd finished the stage in 17th place, but would move up the order to finish 13th in class after the 8 stages. Power sliding out of the corner into 18th fastest after 3 stages was David Large and David Ottaway in their distinctive Ford Escort Mark II. David McLeod and Eamon Boyle were only 5 seconds further back in their Chrysler Sunbeam. They'd finish the rally 15 seconds behind Blair Thompson. Here's another yellow Sunbeam. They must be breeding. This one made by Talbot and run by Paul Fern and Will Brown, who would have a decent run to a top 20 finish after all was said and done. After their stage 1 fight with the bale, a fight they lost, Vincent Sillett and Oliver Matthews regained their composure and cracked on in their Ford Escort to finish 14th in class. I absolutely love the fact that Mark Wade and Gordon Dowie run this trusty Vauxhall Chevette in these rallies. Look at the body roll. They'd have a relatively untroubled run to 20th in class. Tudor Davis and Richard Bonner were clearly Tommy Mackinnon fans in the early 2000s, running this homage livery. Maybe it should have been a Carlos Sainz special to go with the Ford Escort. Here's another championship runner, this Honda Civic in the hands of John Carroll and Chris Cooper. They'd bag some decent points from this appearance and move several places up the order. The Ford Escort RS of Des Moody and Ian Haynes sadly wouldn't make it to the end of the rally, retiring on stage 5. The results citing a lack of talent as the reason. Seems a little harsh. Alex Flodman and Josh Routledge got through the stage in a controlled manner in their Peugeot 206 GTI, doing their best to avoid the advances of the Class C Ford Focus behind. You can't miss Mark Sands and Patricia Holmes in that bright yellow Vauxhall Astra GTE. All that number plate. Give it some, big dog. With Martin Rumble and Andy Newell retiring later in the rally, our final Class C finishers are Graham Gibbs and Rhys Elliott in their Ford Escort. They've got a great paint job on that car. Another retiree was the Peugeot of Nick Taylor and Ross Hammond. They would stop on stage with a clutch issue. Save of the Day award on stage 3 goes to Gareth Stanley and Kenneth Barber in their BMW. He managed to style it out and almost make it look like it was deliberate. Sam is here with an update.
So it's currently looking like stage 4 is going to be cancelled. It's all unfolding at the minute, but Paul, over to you. Can you give us any more information?
Thanks, Sam. Adam Williams and Rachel Atherton were pressing on, but were unfortunately involved in an incident during the stage. Marshals and medical officials were quickly on the scene, however, and were happy to report that after being checked, both were shaken, bruised, but without serious injury, and we hope to see them back as soon as possible. With no further running in stage 4, the times were all zeroed, so let's take a look at the order so far. In Class A, Matt Wood and Peter Kettle lead Dale and Andrew Lawson by 8 seconds, with Ron Walker and Amy McCubbin 16 seconds further behind. In Class B, Chris Rook and Steve Harris head Ashley Morris and Jamie McTavish by 8 seconds. The Citroen C2 R2 Max of Mark Peterson and Jim Bowie is in 3rd place, 11 seconds behind Ashley's Fiesta. Joshua and Tamsin Davey have a clear lead in Class C. They have an amazing 45-second advantage over Stuart Popplewell and Nigel Barber in 2nd place. That's seriously impressive after only 2 stages of running. 4th to 8th is covered by just 7 seconds. This one's going to be close. 28 seconds cover the top 3 cars in the D1 class. Ian Woodhouse and Paul Rowland lead the Lotus Talbot Sunbeam of Mike Taylor and Martin Haggart. 4 seconds behind them are the Tilbans. I thought the lead that the Davies had in Class C was impressive, but Lee and Abigail Allen have got nearly a 1-minute advantage in the D2 class. The chasing pack of the Subaru Imprezas are close, with just over 20 seconds between 2nd and 5th place. Overall, Ian Woodhouse and Paul Rowland lead by just 8 seconds from the Darien of Joshua and Tamsin Davey. The only other non-D1 class car in the top 8 is the D2 leading Mitsubishi Evo 3 of Lee and Abigail Allen. The cars will take to the track going in the opposite direction to the morning, then they'll take to the pit lane and thread their way through 2 chicanes and then back onto the track. After a blast around the long sweeping corners at the back of the circuit, they'll then head up the mountain, through the hairpin, and then down past the cafe, rejoining the track before Hall bends. After 2.5 laps, they'll see who's fastest. There are dramas at the start of stage 5 as front runners Joshua and Tamsin Davey slow with gearbox problems which appeared earlier and will eventually put them out of the contest. As you can see on the gearbox indicator, 4th gear to 6th gear, and then as throttle is applied in 5th gear, it sounds all over. Disaster. Leading the way still were Ian Woodhouse and Paul Rowland, who would finish this stage 31 seconds clear at the top of the times. With rain intermittently falling, Ian shows just the right amount of restraint with his right foot. Quickest in Class D2 were Lee and Abigail Allen, with a healthy advantage in their Mitsubishi Evo. That 4-wheel drive coming in handy in the wet conditions. Leading Class C after the Davies retirement and 6th overall were Mike English and Andy Robinson in the Turquoise Terror. And heading the way in Class A were returning champions Dale and Andrew Lawson, albeit just 3 seconds over the second place competitors, so they could not relax. Moving into Class B, round 1 victors Chris Rook and Steve Harris were out in front in their Opel Corsa, 9 seconds ahead of Ashley Morris and Jamie McTavish in their Ford Fiesta. The pair will be hoping for decent results this year after retiring this time last year. Ken Sturdy and Andrew Funnell were also in close contention in their Suzuki Swift Max, pressing on not only to keep the pressure up on the 2 cars ahead, but also because they had Mark Peterson and Jim Bowie breathing down their necks in their Citroen C2 R2 Max. In fact, just 26 seconds covered the first 4 cars to this point, so it was very close. Also keeping in touch with James and William Orton in their Peugeot 106 GTI, and as you can visibly see, they're pushing hard. The Mazda MX-5 for Paul Gorge and Daniel Hurst was 6th in class and 5th of the championship entrance, though I'm not sure that headlight should look like that. A little further back, John Savage and Paul Rhodes were having a solid run inside the top 10 in their Honda Civic. Connor Tolson and Brian Alaria headed another close bunch of competitors in their Ford Fiesta. They'd have to keep up the pace though, as they were just 4 seconds ahead of Alan Jackson and Ian Faulkner's MG-ZR, which sportingly moves aside here to let the faster cars through. The second Army Motorsport car in the hands of Simon Matchin and Clive Alford was 10th in class and 7th of the championship runners, but was just 1 second ahead of the Ford Fiesta R200 of Simon Larner and Tony Clemence's Ford Fiesta. Howard Alexander and James Morris were also in close contention in their Ford Focus, so let's go on board with Ron Walker and Amy McCubbin, who were right behind, and watch them through this part of the stage. Jez Hill and Decca Kelly were about a minute further back in their Peugeot 205 GTI. John Shepherd and Mick Pears sportingly moved over to let the Army Motorsports car through, which was nice of them. It left them with a bit of a clear track to concentrate on what they were doing. Richard and Adam Kay unfortunately suffered a gear linkage problem in their Vauxhall Corsa and would have to retire at the end of the stage. It wasn't plain sailing for everyone though, as Ian Holliday and Jane Wright found out. So that's what happened to the MX-5's damaged light. Sadly, that would mean retirement for the KA duo. As we move on to stage 6, it's still Ian Woodhouse and Paul Rowland leading the rally, with Joshua and Tamsin Davey retiring after stage 5 and Stephen and Jack Tilburn retiring on this stage. It would leave them with just Mike Taylor and Martin Haggett to fend off for victory. Mike English and Andy Robinson top class C still, and they were aiming for a steady finish to take the class win and valuable championship points. The rain showered just before the start of the stage, giving the track a lovely dousing.
Mr. Corner with the
Lee and Abigail Allen were keeping it steady, leading Class D2 by a significant margin of over 1 minute. Chris Rook and Steve Harris were on course for back-to-back wins, which would put them in a strong position for the championship title, running well in their Opel Corsa. Leading the way in Class A still were returnees Dale and Andrew Lawson, but they were only 4 seconds ahead of Matt Wood and Peter Kettle's Vauxhall Corsa through 6 stages. Third in class and leader of the championship competitors were Ron Walker and Amy McCubbin. Let's go on board with the pair as they close in on a rival car. Adam and Ray Ripple were up next, always at the sharp end of Class A in their Nissan Micra. 4th in class and 2nd of the championship point scorers. Mark Jones and John Henley couldn't relax in their MG-ZR in 5th place, as they had just a 1 second gap over Ian Barnes and Jason Cutter's red Ford KA. They were pushing hard, as you can see, very wet, and the lights beginning to fail. Next up were Kay Thompson and Charlotte Wainwright in their Nissan Micra, having a solid day in 4th place of the championship competitors. Just 7 seconds behind Kay and Charlotte were James Hardy and Nick Wilkins, also in a Micra. They were also pushing because Robert Jones and Tony Archer were only 2 seconds behind them in their Ford Fiesta. Close battles raging up and down the field. Ian Bass and Harry Walshaw were 10th, quickest of the A1 subclass of entrants at this event, running in a Toyota Yaris. Ian and Adam Houston were also running in that class, catching a nice sideways moment in their Chevrolet Spark. Adrian Mayle and Rob Hayden were up next in their Alfa Romeo 33, shades of a Martini livery there as well, lovely. Michael Rust and Martin Wilson supporting the Poppy Appeal in their Fiat Gran Punto. Great to see them pushing the appeal and on track. Sir Andrew McAlpine and Andrew Merrifield were trying their best, but sadly problems with their Austin Mini Cooper would mean retirement. It was getting hard work out there. Some people finding it difficult to stay on track, and some people just sliding towards the barriers well held. Let's join Sam.
So we're here with Mike English with the Turquoise Terror. Mike, you're having a good day today, aren't you?
We are, yeah, not too bad. It's a miserable day all round for everybody, but we don't mind the wet. When we've got the car set up properly, good grip, we go all right in the wet. We're having a good day so far. I think we won the Class A last year at this round, so that's our aim this year as well. So we've just got to keep steady, keep focused, bring it home.
Mike, how is it going for you today? Obviously the weather has not let up, but this is ideal for you, isn't it?
Absolutely perfect weather-wise. Love it. It's fantastic. Very concerned about the crew from car 30 who had the big accident. Don't know how they are. Hope they're all well. But no, going very well. I think we're now 2nd overall, and I think we're leading the Michelin and MSN Championship here.
And we've still got 2 stages left. What's your thoughts on the rest of the day?
Oh yes, just got to keep it together those last 2 stages, don't overdo it, and yeah, take care in the dark, particularly going down that hill towards the back of the old pits. That's going to be interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So, Kathy, we've just been saying that it is a really good day for ducks. Now, we don't have a problem with that here. We have plenty of ducks, don't we? But how is your day going?
Not too bad. I think the ducks in the car are rather enjoying themselves, actually, with all the standing water around now. But it's going really well for us. We've had a couple of little issues, but nothing that's holding us back. So I think we're currently about 8th at the ninth. No, 9th. I think probably 9th overall at the moment. We're like 8th fastest on that stage. So we're going well. The Michelin Wets are doing their job. And we were flying, so it is that those last 2 stages were really power stages. Though it was just there were no chicanes. It was just a thrash around the circuit almost. So, and I love Cadwell. It's one of my favourite circuits. I like all the twiddly bits when you come off the track as well. And I think next stage we're going to use the handbrake. So, woohoo!
Okay. Well, yeah. I say that the development that's been done under the car over the summer has just transformed the car. With the new gearbox and the new sequential in it, it's transformed it. And yeah, now, like you say, we are now knocking on the heels of the other boys, Mike English and Ryan, so taking it to them now. So yeah, it's been really, really good. Yep.
Here's the results after 6 stages in Class A. Dale and Andrew Lawson lead, but just 4 seconds from 2nd place runners Matt Wood and Peter Kettle in their Vauxhall Corsa. 32 seconds further back it's Ron Walker and Eamon McCubbin with Adam and Ray Ripper in their trusty Nissan Micra 4. The gap at the top in Class B isn't much bigger, with Chris Ruck and Steve Harris leading the way by 10 seconds from Ken Sturdy and Andrew Funnell. Ashley Morris and Jamie McTavish are keeping both of them honest in 3rd place, just 5 seconds behind Ken and 15 off the lead. After the retirement on stage 5 of Joshua and Tamsin Davey, Mike English and Annie Robinson take over the lead in Class C. They have a 34-second advantage over Rob Cox and Joe Graham. Runners-up last season, Kathy Seward and Colin Stevens are 3rd. Ian Woodhouse and Paul Rowland continue to lead in D1, 34 seconds ahead of Kathy's teammate and fellow Lotus Talbot Sunbeam runner Mike Taylor and Martin Haggett. It's a good run for the Peugeot 205 of Dan Corner and Mark Reagan, who jump up to 3rd after the Tilburn's retirement on stage 5. In Class D2, Lee and Abigail Allen have a commanding lead of 1 minute and 18 seconds over Philip Megginson and Paul Turner in the first of the 6 Subaru Imprezas. Just 1 second behind them in third place is Jonathan Lightbody and Tom Homan. With 6 of the stages gone, the D1 runners still dominate the overall standings, with Ian Woodhouse at the top of the times. Mike English and Rob Cox are spoiling the party as the only non-D1 class runners in 6th and 8th places. As darkness descends on the Lincolnshire track, it presents a new challenge for all of the drivers. Adding to the changeable wet conditions, the entrants will now have to deal with the gloom as they compete on stages 7 and 8. Let's take a look at the plan for the final 2 stages. The competitors will start the stages and head into the barn corner as usual, and after taking in the back of the circuit, they will head up to the mountain. Here the cars will turn left and take an access road up to the hairpin rather than going up the pit lane exit as they've done on previous stages. A quick handbrake turn gets them hopefully facing the right way to turn left and head downhill, rejoining the circuit from the pit lane.
So here we are down to the final 2 stages. The weather is still as it has been all day, and it's now getting darker too. What are our championship guys going to make of that?
Thanks Sam, Ian Woodhouse and Paul Rowland continue to lead the rally, and they were looking pretty unstoppable in their Ford Escort. They would have a storming stage and extend their lead by 15 seconds. Topping Class D2 were Lee and Abigail Allen still. No technical problems would cost them time and places, albeit not in class. The Turquoise Terror still leads Class C. Mike English and Andy Robinson having a great day, extending their lead over rival Rob Cox by 3 seconds. Chris Rook and Steve Harris, they remain the class of the field in Class B with some very angry headlights there as well. Mean looking them. Dale and Andrew Lawson also remain top in Class A. The reigning champions weren't able to commit to the full championship this year in their updated car, and on this performance, other competitors must be glad of that. On the splitter of Ryan Connolly and Chris Allen's Ford Puma, showing just how dark and tricky things are out there. Listen to that go. Mega. In fact, not everyone got it right.
So we are here with Chris Rook and Steve Harris. Guys, you are currently leading Class B with 1 stage to go. How are we feeling?
Confident, really, in a way. Okay. I think we just need to keep it tidy. We know we can't back off because Ken's right up behind us. This guy here pushed me hard that time because Ken had been taking 5 seconds out of us previous stages.
Competition, you know, we're really enjoying it because it's really close. You know, we've had Ashley Morris, Ken Sturdy sort of thing right behind, sort of keeping us on our toes. So it's really good. You can't back off, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, we've got 1 stage to go, so fingers crossed. Keep pushing him, and we'll see you at the finish, won't we?
Okay, thank you.
Hopefully, yeah.
Ron Walker going into the final stage. Just 1 more to go. How are we feeling?
Yeah, we're good. We're just going to try and keep it steady. I've been given the instructions, keep it smooth, don't try anything silly. We're not catching the folk in front. So yeah, we'll just go out and try and keep it steady and maintain a position.
Definitely leading your class for the overall championship points. That's definitely a good way to go for your second round, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We're fortunate we scored the good points at Oulton as well. And yeah, it'd be great to do the same today because, as we said earlier on, wet and dark's not my forte. We had a little bit of a faux pas in the last stage there. Missed a turn, but yeah, we're just going to keep it steady and try again.
Good to hear. Let's join Ron and Amy on board as they start Stage 8. Stage 8 most definitely was held in the dark. Really giving off what you see in a rally car in the dark. Unbelievable. My God. Can't see a thing. Amazing onboard footage, and we move to the car of Rob Cox and Joe Graham as they navigate the tricky turns of Cadwell Park. It's incredible how little they can see as they're flat out. That car turning on a sixpence. Transmission having a hard time there. Great stuff. It will be an unstoppable day for Ian Woodhouse and Paul Rowland, though, the pair claiming a fantastic victory on their return. Mike Taylor and Martin Haggett were looking comfortable in second overall in their Talbot Sunbeam Lotus, going on to have a 21-second cushion at the end of the stage. The Peugeot 205 of Dan Corner and Mark Regan has shown brilliant consistency to move up from 9th overall at the end of stage 1 to 3rd fastest car in the afternoon stages. They take a well-deserved podium finish. In Class D2, Lee and Abigail Allen held on despite late problems to claim the victory. Mike English and Andy Robinson took valuable championship points in the competitive Class C as rivals faltered. You can even spot the turquoise terror in the dark. Chris Rook and Steve Harris made it 2 from 2 with another superb run in Class B. Those two could be dark horses for the championship title. And it was a return win for Dale and Andrew Lawson at the venue they claimed the Class A title last season. Hopefully we will see more of them this time out too.
Dan, Mark, huge congratulations. You've got an old championship winning engine in that car. You've clearly got to grips with it really well.
I don't know. I come here with a little sort of open-minded sort of attitude towards it because never really done circuit stuff before, but no, really enjoyed it. Really good event, good championship, really had fun.
It's been quite a tricky day, hasn't it, today? Quite challenging weather-wise, but he's clearly done all right.
Yeah, I mean, Dan always seems to drive pretty well in the wet anyway, so he felt pretty at home today. So no, pretty good. Yeah, not too bad.
Well, huge congratulations once again. 3rd overall, you've done fab. Well done, guys.
Thank you very much.
Mike, Martin, what a day. It has been a little bit chaotic, hasn't it? There's been all sorts going on, but we are on that podium. What a fantastic result.
Second overall, we really can't complain. It's been a hard day. It's hard on the cars and on everybody, but fantastic result. Good team effort, and bearing in mind both cars were in a million pieces 10 days ago. So really, really pleased that the team's got us here and got us to where we are now.
I mean, that is one hell of a team effort, isn't it? Because yes, as you say, Alton Park maybe wasn't quite in the best shape after Alton Park, but what a day, and to get this podium.
Excellent. Yes, I'm happy for Mike. You know, this is the 3rd time I've been second overall in a rally. One day I might be on the top step. Yeah, keep going, keep trying. It's on a day when everyone else had problems, seemingly, it worked for us, and you just sort of relish it when it happens.
18 months you last sat in this car. You've done a lot to it, and then here we are. We're on the podium. I mean, it's like you've never been out of it.
We've done a hell of a lot of work to it, really. I've stripped the full thing down. We were out of Donington a while ago. We won that. We won this. It cannot be any better, really. It's over the moon.
Absolutely. And you've sat in with him a few times now, haven't you? Yeah. What's he like to sit in with?
He's easy to sit in with because he just seems to never put a foot wrong. So I mean, that's just keeping it lit and keeping it on the black stuff. I think that's the key.
And we've all been talking. It has been quite a challenging day out there today, but it just doesn't seem to have fazed you at all.
It's been a definite challenge, especially when it got towards the end, stage 7. We had no lights for our car, just as we were lining up, no lights. So we had to cable tie the stalk back to have it on flash only for the headlights to go on. So it was one of them moments towards the end, but we managed, and yeah, no one else could beat us in the dark, so it worked.
Well, massive congratulations once again, and we hope to see you out again soon.
Cheers. Thank you.
Here are the final results for Class A, with Dale and Andrew Lawson taking a win on their return to the championship, but it's close, with Matt Wood and Peter Kettle only 15 seconds behind. Our friends Ron Walker and Amy McCubb in a 3rd, the upgraded Puma proving a good move. Chris Rook and Steve Harris take Class B honours, beating the Suzuki Swift Maxi of Ken Sturdy and Andrew Funnell by 19 seconds. It's close though, as only 8 seconds further back is the Ford Fiesta of Ashley Morris and Jamie McTavish. We'll hear from them in a bit. Mike English and Andy Robinson are victorious in Class C, beating Rob Cox and Joe Graham by 27 seconds. Kathy Seward will be happy with 3rd place after a non-finish at Alton Park last time out. Ian Woodhouse and Paul Rowland take a commanding win in Class D1 with a margin of over a minute over the 2nd place Lotus Talbot Sunbeam of Mike Taylor and Martin Haggett. Dan Corner and Mark Regan 3rd in their Peugeot 205. In D2, there's only 14 seconds between the Subaru Impreza of Philip Megginson and Paul Turner and the Mitsubishi Evo 3 of Lee and Abigail Allen. Jonathan Lightbody and Tom Homan take third ahead of a handful of Subarus, with the MG Metro 6R4 of Daniel Elmore and Ian Duncan in 7th. Confirmation of the overall results with the D1 cars of Ian Woodhouse, Mike Taylor, Dan Kroner leading the way. Mike Taylor and Andy Robinson are top of Class C runners in 6th.
We are here at the end of the day with Ashley Morris and Jamie McTavish. Guys, we've got 3rd in class and we've got 20th overall. Really, really good day.
Yeah, we're really pleased with that. We had a good clean run and it was going well from the start of the day. So yeah, we were really pleased to bring it back there. There were some really quick cars out in the class. So 3rd in class we were really pleased with, and to get into the top 20 was a brilliant result for us.
Absolutely. Jamie, I mean, the last couple of years, how much different is it now sitting in with Ashley to a couple of years ago?
It's massively different, but you know, we'd have been. We got over the stage, I think was it 7, and she was really moaning and terrible, and we'd lost about 4 seconds to Ken's 30, and we would have killed for that 2 years ago. So you know, great to get 3rd after narrowly missing out on a podium at Alton Park. So that's 2 really good results, and we're really pleased. So off to Knock Hill next, and hopefully the same again.
Here's how things look in the Michelin Cup. A good run puts Mike Taylor at the top, but he's only got a 2-point advantage over Paul Murrow in 2nd. Gary Mason is 3rd ahead of Ashley Morris and Paul Gorge. It's so close. In the co-driver overall championship standings, Martin Haggart has a 5-point cushion over Callum Cross, with Steve Harris in 3rd place. Only 10 points separate the top 8 competitors, however, so we're going to see plenty of movement throughout the season. It's a bit more spread out in the Drivers' Championship, with 16 points between Mike Taylor and Chris Rook in 4th. Paul Murrow and Michael Walton are well placed, but all have had consistent runs so far this year. Will we see an upset at Knock Hill next time out? We'll have to wait and see.